Ladies, let me tell you something, and I need you to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to tell you is going to explain every single silent stretch you've ever endured with a man. Every unanswered text, every read receipt that made your stomach drop, every time you sat there with your thumb hovering over his name, wondering if you should reach out one more time just to keep the peace, just to keep the connection, just to keep him. Sister, put your phone down, because today I'm not going to teach you how to text him better. I'm not going to teach you how to word things sweeter. I'm not going to give you some cute little script to make him respond faster. No, baby. Today I'm going to tell you the truth that nobody in your life has had the courage to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly what a man notices when you stop reaching out. What happens in his mind, in his ego, in his chest, in his gut, when the woman who was always there suddenly isn't. And by the end of this, you are going to walk different. You are going to breathe different. You are going to look at your phone different, because once you understand what I'm about to explain, you will never chase another man's attention again as long as you live. Now, let me pour you some tea and let's get into it. See, here's what most women don't understand. When you are constantly reaching out to a man, constantly checking in, constantly being the one to say good morning, the one to say good night, the one to send the funny meme, the one to ask about his day, the one to make plans, the one to keep the conversation alive, you are not building love. You are building a habit. And baby, a habit is not the same thing as desire. A habit is not the same thing as devotion. A habit is not the same thing as a man being obsessed with you. A habit is something he takes for granted. A habit is something he expects. A habit is something he stops noticing until one day that habit disappears. And that, sister, that right there is when the magic happens. Because a man does not value what is always available. He values what he has to think about. He values what he has to work for. He values what he could lose. And as long as you are the one initiating, as long as you are the one keeping the temperature warm, as long as you are the one carrying the emotional weight of that connection, he has no reason to think about losing you. He has no reason to reach. He has no reason to wonder. He has no reason to miss you. Because how can he miss you when you never gave him the chance? Let me tell you about a woman I know. Let's call her Maya. Maya was 34 years old, beautiful woman, successful woman, the kind of woman who walks into a room and turns heads without trying. And Maya had been dating a man for about 8 months now. This man, on paper, he was fine. Good job, nice smile, said all the right things, but Maya noticed something. She was always the one texting first in the morning. She was always the one suggesting the dinner plans. She was always the one asking, "Hey, when am I going to see you again?" And every time she reached out, he responded. He was warm, he was sweet, he said all the things, but he never reached first. Never. And Maya sat with me one afternoon and she said, "I don't understand. He treats me good when we're together. He says he loves me. But something feels off. Something feels one-sided." And I looked at that woman and I said, "Baby, that's because it is one-sided. You are the sun in that relationship. You are the one giving all the light, and he is just sitting there getting warm." So I told Maya, I said, "Sister, I want you to try something. For the next 2 weeks, I don't want you to text him first. I don't want you to call him first. I don't want you to reach out, not once, not to say good morning, not to send a funny video, not to check in, nothing. You just live your life. You go to work, you go to the gym, you have dinner with your girlfriends, you read your book, you take yourself out for that fancy coffee, and you let that phone sit there quiet." Now Maya, she was scared. She said, "Steve, what if he doesn't reach out? What if he just forgets about me?" And I said, "Baby, if he forgets about you in 2 weeks, then he was already gone. You were just paying rent on a relationship he moved out of a long time ago." So Maya did it. And you know what happened? Day 1, silence. Day 2, silence. Day 3, she almost broke. She had that phone in her hand ready to send some cute little thinking of you message, but she didn't. She put that phone down. Day 4, still silence. And then on day 5 at 9:42 in the evening, her phone lit up and it was him. And you know what the message said? It said, "Hey, everything okay? Haven't heard from you in a minute." Sister, do you understand what happened there? Do you understand the shift? He noticed. He felt it. He felt the absence of her attention, like a man walking into his own house and realizing the lights are off, because for 8 months Maya had been the light, and when she stopped flipping the switch, that man sat in the dark and suddenly he had to think about her. He had to wonder, he had to wonder, he had to reach. Now, that's just the beginning of the story, but I want you to hold on to that image because that is what a man notices first. He notices the silence, he notices the temperature drop, he notices that the woman who used to be the sun suddenly is not shining on him anymore, and baby, that moment, that little crack in his awareness, that is where everything changes. Now, let me break down what's really happening inside his mind because I don't want you to just take this on faith. I want you to understand the psychology, the wiring, the dig-down truth of how a man's brain works when it comes to a woman. See, men are wired for pursuit. We are hunters by nature. And I'm not saying that to be some old-fashioned caveman about it. I'm saying it because it is a biological, psychological, historical truth. A man's brain lights up when he is chasing. A man's brain lights up when he is working for something. A man's brain lights up when he is uncertain about whether he can have you. That is certainty. That little bit of, maybe I could lose her, that is the fuel that makes a man fall in love. That is the spark. That is the fire. And when you take that away from him, when you hand him certainty on a silver platter, when you tell him with every text, every call, every check-in, I am here, I am yours, I am not going anywhere, you have turned off the fire. You have taken the hunt away from him. And now he's just a man sitting on a couch, comfortable, well-fed, and completely unmotivated. Now, hear me on this because this is important. I am not telling you to play games. I am not telling you to be cold. I am not telling you to be someone you're not. What I am telling you is this: your energy, your attention, your affection, your presence, that is a gift. That is a rare, precious, sacred gift. That is a rare, precious, sacred, and when you give it away for free over and over without him ever having to earn it, you have taught him that the gift has no value. You have taught him that he can have you whenever he wants, however he wants, on whatever terms he wants. And a man does not cherish what he has not earned. Let me say that again because I want it to hit your spirit. A man does not cherish what he has not earned. So when you stop reaching out, the first thing he notices is not that you're gone. The first thing he notices is that his phone is quiet. And that quiet, sister, that quiet is louder than any words you could ever say because for the first time, he has to sit with the absence of you. He has to feel what it's like to not have you pouring into him. He has to face the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you have other things going on. Maybe you have a life. Maybe you have options. Maybe you have moved on. And that possibility, baby, that possibility is what wakes him up. Now, let me give you the second thing he notices. And this one is deeper than the first because the first thing is surface. The first thing is just, oh, she hasn't texted. But the second thing is where his ego starts to crack. Because when you stop reaching out, a man starts to wonder, what is she doing? Who is she with? Why isn't she thinking about me? And that wondering, that spiral of thought, that is the beginning of obsession. You see, a man's ego is a fragile thing. Don't let him tell you otherwise. Don't let him walk around with his chest puffed out, acting like nothing bothers him. Because I'm telling you, as a man who has lived 60-something years on this earth, our ego is more fragile than a soap bubble on a windy day, and nothing pricks a man's ego like a woman who stops paying attention to him. Think about it. For weeks, months, maybe even years, you have been the one confirming his value. Every text you sent, every call you made, every I miss you you whispered, that was you confirming to him that he mattered. That was you telling him you are important, you are worthy, you are the man I want. And when you stop, when the confirmations stop coming, his brain starts to panic. Not in a way he'll ever admit out loud, not in a way he'll ever cry about to his boys, but in a quiet, knowing, restless way that keeps him up at night. He starts to check his phone more. He starts to reread your old messages. He starts to drive past places he thinks you might be. He starts to ask his friends, have you seen her? Have you heard from her? He starts to look at your social media, watching every story, waiting to see if you post about another man. And then finally, when he can't take it anymore, he reaches out. And when he reaches out, sister, when he finally reaches out, he is not the same man he was 2 weeks ago. He is a man who has been humbled. He is a man who has been reminded. He is a man who has, for the first time in a long time, felt the weight of possibly losing you. Now, let me tell you about another woman. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel was 28, sharp as a razor, ran her own business, had her own money, had her own life. But she had this one man who had a hold on her heart she couldn't shake. And this man, he was inconsistent. He would blow up her phone for a week straight, then disappear for 10 days. He would tell her he loved her on a Friday and then not answer her calls until the following Wednesday. And Rachel, bless her heart, Rachel was addicted to that inconsistency because every time he came back, it felt like a hit of a drug. Every time he texted after silence, her whole body lit up. Now, Rachel came to me and she said, "Steve, I don't know what to do. I'm losing my mind. I check my phone 100 times a day. I can't focus at work. I can't sleep at night. What is wrong with me?" And I looked at that beautiful, brilliant woman and I said, "Baby, there is nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong with the dynamic, and you are the only one who can change it." I said, "Rachel, I want you to understand something. That man has trained your nervous system to associate his attention with relief. Every time he goes silent, you feel pain. And every time he comes back, you feel relief. And your body has confused that cycle of pain and relief with love. But baby, that is not love. That is a trauma bond. That is a slot machine. And you have been pulling the lever hoping for jackpot that is never coming." I told Rachel, I said, "You need to stop pulling the lever. You need to walk away from the machine. Not forever necessarily, but long enough for your nervous system to reset. Long enough for you to remember who you were before him. Long enough for him to notice that the woman who was always there is not there anymore." And Rachel did it. She stopped reaching out. She stopped double texting. She stopped bubble texting. She stopped watching his stories. She stopped driving past his neighborhood. She just stopped. And for the first 2 weeks, it was brutal. She said she felt like she was going through withdrawal. But by week 3, something shifted. She started sleeping again. She started eating again. She started laughing with her girlfriends again. And then on day 22, her phone lit up. And it was him. And the message said, "I don't know what's going on with you, but I miss you. Can we talk?" Now, here's the part I want you to hear, sister. Rachel did not run back. Rachel did not immediately answer. Rachel sat with that message for 2 days. And when she did answer, she answered from a place of power, not desperation. She answered from a place of self-worth, not scarcity. Because in those 3 weeks of silence, Rachel had remembered who she was. And no man, no matter how charming, was ever going to make her forget again. That is what happens, ladies. That is what a man notices when you stop reaching out. He notices first the silence. Then he notices the ache in his ego. And then, if he has any sense at all, he notices that he is about to lose something he was too foolish to appreciate. But there's more. Oh, there is so much more, because I haven't even gotten to the third thing yet. The third thing he notices is your energy. And I don't mean your energy on the phone. I mean the energy you carry in the world. The energy that radiates off of you, the energy that other people start to feel when they're around you. Because when you stop pouring all your attention into a man who is not pouring back, sister, something magical happens. That energy has to go somewhere, and it starts pouring back into you. You start showing up different. You start walking different. You start dressing different. You start laughing louder. You start taking better care of your skin. You start going to that yoga class you always talked about. You start reading that book that's been sitting on your nightstand. You start saying yes to invitations you used to turn down because you were waiting on a text. You start living, sister. You start actually living your one and only life. And here is where it gets spicy. Because when you start living, when you start glowing, when you start showing up as the fullest, most magnetic version of yourself, other people notice. Your girlfriends notice. Your coworkers notice. Your coworkers notice. Strangers on the street notice. Men notice. And baby, in this age of social media, word travels. Energy travels. Your glow up does not stay hidden. And somewhere, somehow, that man who is ignoring your text, he is going to hear about you. He is going to see a picture. He is going to hear from a mutual friend. He is going to feel a shift in the atmosphere. And he is going to know deep in his gut that the woman he was taking for granted is not the same woman anymore, that sister. That is, when the panic sets in. Now, let me be clear. I am not telling you to do all of this to get him back. I am not telling you to glow up as a strategy to make him notice. No, baby. I am telling you to glow up because you deserve it. I am telling you to live because life is short. I am telling you to pour into yourself because you are worthy. And the beautiful, delicious side effect of you living your best life is that every man who ever underestimated you will feel it. Every man who ever ignored you will regret it. Every man who ever thought you would always be there will realize too late that you are gone. And that is not revenge. That is not manipulation. That is just what happens when a woman finally decides to choose herself. Now, let me get into the fourth thing a man notices, and this one is subtle, but it is powerful. When you stop reaching out, a man starts to notice how much space you were taking up in his mind. And I know that sounds backwards. You would think if you're not texting him, you would take up less space, right? But it is the opposite. When you were always there, always available, always initiating, you were background noise. You were the sound of the refrigerator humming. He didn't notice you because you were always there. But when you go silent, suddenly you become the loudest thing in his head because now your absence is what he notices. Or now your silence is what he hears. Now the empty space where your name used to pop up on his screen becomes a scream. And this is the loss aversion I want to talk to you about, because psychologically human beings, and especially men, are wired to feel loss more strongly than gain. If a man has you, he doesn't fully appreciate what he has. But if he thinks he is losing you, oh sister, that is when his whole world tilts. That is when he starts calculating. That is when he starts remembering all the little things about you he used to take for granted. The way you laugh, the way you smell, the way you looked at him across the dinner table, the way you texted him good morning even when you were tired. All those little gifts you gave him, gifts he never bothered to thank you for, suddenly they all come flooding back and he feels the weight of them, and he feels the weight of losing them. That, ladies, is what silence does. That is what your absence does. It is not passive. It is not weak. It is not you giving up. Your silence is a spotlight. Your silence is a mirror. What silence forces him to sit with himself and to see for the first time everything he has been taking for granted. And baby, some men will rise to that moment. Some men will feel that weight and get up off the couch and come to you humble, ready, changed. And some men will not. Some men will feel that weight and try to numb it. They'll go to another woman. They'll drink more. They'll bury themselves in work. They'll pretend they don't care. And sister, if that is the kind of man he is, then you have your answer. You have your answer without ever having to ask the question. Because a man who is worthy of you will always find his way back to you when you give him the space to feel your absence. And a man who is not will disappear into the noise of his own avoidance. Either way, you win. Either way, you get clarity. Either way, you get to move forward as a woman who is no longer waiting. Now let me tell you about a third woman. Let's call her Tasha. Tasha was 39, a mother of 2, a nurse who worked 12-hour shifts, a woman who was tired in her bones. And Tasha had been in a situation with the man for about a year and a half, and this man, he was not a bad man, he was not abusive, he was not a cheater as far as she knew. But he was lukewarm. And lukewarm, sister, lukewarm is worse than cold. Because at least cold gives you a reason to leave. Lukewarm keeps you hoping. Tasha would text him, and he would respond, but he would never text first. Tasha would suggest they get together, and he would come, but he would never suggest it himself. Tasha would tell him she loved him, and he would say it back, but he never said it first. And Tasha, exhausted Tasha, working 2 jobs, Tasha raising 2 kids, Tasha was carrying that entire relationship on her back, and she was breaking under the weight. She said to me one day, "Steve, I don't have the energy for this. I don't have the energy to keep reaching. I don't have the energy to keep initiating. But if I stop, I'm afraid he'll just disappear, and I don't want to lose him." And I looked at that beautiful, tired, worthy woman, and I said, "Baby, listen to me. You have already lost him. You just haven't accepted it yet. Because a man who does not reach for you is a man who has not chosen you. And you cannot keep choosing a man who is not choosing you back. That is not love. That is you volunteering to be somebody's option." I told Tasha, I said, for the next 30 days, I want you to do nothing. Do not text, do not call, do not reach. Live your life, love your babies, rest when you can, and let the universe show you what that man really is. And Tasha did it. And for the first 10 days, nothing. Silence. And Tasha, in her exhaustion, in her heartbreak, in her honesty, said, "Steve, I think you were right. I think he was never going to come. And you know what? I'm okay, because at least now I know." And then on day 15, her phone lit up, and it was him. And the message said, "I've been thinking about you. Can we talk?" And Tasha, tired Tasha, wise Tasha, honest Tasha, looked at that message and said, "You know what? No, I've been thinking too, and I've been thinking that I deserve more than this." And she blocked him, and she moved on. And 6 months later, she met a man who texted her first every single morning, who called her just to hear her voice, who planned dates without her having to suggest them, who told her she was beautiful before she asked. And Tasha said to me, Steve, I didn't know love could feel like this. I didn't know love could feel like exhale. That is the point, sister. That is the point. When you stop reaching for a man who is not reaching for you, you make room for a man who will. You make room for the kind of love that does not require you to bleed to keep it alive. You make room for the kind of love that pours into you as much as you pour into it. You make room for the kind of love that God or the universe or whatever you believe in has been trying to send you all along. But you couldn't receive it because your hands were too full holding on to a man who was never yours to keep. Now, let me get into the fifth thing a man notices when you stop reaching out. And this one is the deepest, and it is the most transformative. When you stop reaching out, a man starts to notice your self-respect. And I don't mean he notices it in a way that makes him love you more necessarily. I mean, he notices it in a way that changes the entire dynamic of how he treats you. Because a man, and I'm going to tell you the truth here, a man will always, always treat you exactly the way you allow yourself to be treated. If you allow yourself to be an afterthought, he will treat you as an afterthought. If you allow yourself to be the second choice, he will treat you as the second choice. If you allow yourself to be the woman he texts back when he has nothing else going on, he will treat you as exactly that. But if you carry yourself like a woman who knows her worth, like a woman who does not need him to feel whole, like a woman who has options and standards and self-respect, sister, or that man would either rise to meet you or he would disappear. And either way you win, because a man watches you, even when he acts like he doesn't, even when he seems distracted, even when he seems distant. He is watching you. He is watching you. He is watching to see if you will accept the crumbs. He is watching to see if you will beg for scraps. He is watching to see if you will settle. And when he sees you stop, when he sees you walk away from the crumbs, when he sees you refuse to beg, when he sees you decide that you would rather be alone than be disrespected, that changes everything about how he sees you. Now, here is where most women mess up. Most women, when they finally stop reaching out, they do it as a strategy. They do it hoping he will come back. They do it while checking their phone every 5 minutes, waiting for him to notice. And baby, if you are doing it as a strategy, he can feel it. He can smell the desperation from a mile away. He can feel the game you are playing. And the truth is, if you are only stopping to make him come back, you have not really stopped. You are still reaching, just in a different way. The power move, the real power move, is to stop reaching, not because you want him back, but because you have decided that you deserve better. The power move is to stop reaching because you have finally understood that your worth is not up for negotiation. The power move is to stop reaching because you have finally decided that the next man who gets your attention is going to have to work for it, earn it, and cherish it. That, sister, that is the shift. And a man can feel that shift in his bones. He can feel it in the way you say hello. He can feel it in the way you don't respond right away. He can feel it in the way you smile a little differently, walk a little taller, laugh a little freer. He can feel that you have found something inside yourself that he cannot take away. And that, baby, that scares him and attracts him at the same time. Now, let me pause here and tell you something important. I am not telling you this to teach you how to manipulate a man. I'm not telling you this to teach you how to play games. I am telling you this because I want you to understand that you have been undervaluing yourself for far too long. I want you to understand that the reason he has been treating you the way he has is not because you are not worthy. It is because you have been showing him that you will accept less than you deserve. And the moment you stop, the moment you decide that you will not accept less, everything changes. Now, some of you is sitting there right now and you thinking, but Steve, what if he doesn't come back? What if I stop reaching out and he just moves on and I lose him forever? Baby, listen to me. If a man moves on because you stopped chasing him, he was already gone. You were just paying rent on a memory. You were just holding on to a ghost. And the sooner you let go, the sooner you can grieve, the sooner you can heal, the sooner you can be ready for the real love that is coming. Because I promise you, real love is coming. Real love does not require you to beg. Real love does not require you to prove yourself over and over. Real love does not require you to shrink so someone else can feel big. Real love, sister, real love feels like exhale. Real love feels like coming home. Real love feels like being fully seen and fully chosen without having to fight for it. And you cannot receive that real love if your hands are still full of the fake love. You cannot walk into the future with your feet still planted in the past. You have got to let go. You have got to release. You have got to stop reaching for what is not reaching for you. Now, let me tell you about a fourth woman. Let's call her Denise. Denise was 42, divorced, one grown daughter, and she had been talking to a man online for about 6 months. They had not even met in person yet, but this man had her spinning. He would text her all day, then disappear for 3 days. He would call her late at night, tell her he loved her, then not answer his phone for a week. He would promise to visit her, then cancel at the last minute, and Denise, 42-year-old grown woman Denise, was crying herself to sleep over a man she had never even hugged. Now, Denise came to me, and she was ashamed. She said, "Steve, I am a grown woman. I should know better. Why am I doing this to myself?" And I looked at her and I said, "Baby, don't be ashamed. Every woman has been here. Every woman has been here. Every woman has at some point in her life given her heart to a man who did not deserve it. The shame is not in falling. The shame is in staying down. And you, sister, you are ready to get up." I told Denise, I said, "You have never even met this man. You do not know if he is who he says he is. You do not know if the pictures he sent you are even him. And yet you have given him access to your heart, your mind, your peace, your sleep. That is a lot of power to give a stranger. Now, I want you to take that power back. I want you to close the door, or not slam it, just close it. Do not text him, do not respond to him, do not engage. And I want you to spend the next 30 days pouring all that energy you were pouring into him back into yourself." Denise did it. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was hard for her. She missed him. She missed the fantasy of him. Because that's what he was, sister. He was a fantasy. He was a projection. He was a man she had built in her mind. And the real man could never have lived up to it anyway. But by day 20, Denise called me, and her voice sounded different. She said, "Steve, I feel free. I didn't realize how much of my mental space he was taking up until he wasn't in it anymore. I feel like I can breathe again." And you know what happened next? Denise met a man, a real man in her actual life, at the grocery store of all places. And he asked her out, and he showed up when he said he would. And he called when he said he would call. And he treated her like a queen because that was the man that was meant for her, but she couldn't have met him if she was still spending all her energy on the fantasy man who was never coming. Sister, are you hearing me? Are you understanding what I am telling you? Every minute you spend reaching for a man who is not reaching back is a minute you are stealing from the man who is meant to be reaching for you. Every text you send to the wrong man is a text you could be sending to the right man. Every ounce of energy you pour into the wrong situation is energy that is not available for the right situation. You are not just wasting time, you are blocking your own blessings. Now, let me get into what happens next because I want you to understand the full picture. When you stop reaching out and he starts to notice, one of three things is going to happen, and I want you to be prepared for all three. Scenario one, he comes back humble, he comes back apologetic, or he comes back saying all the right things. He says, "I've been thinking about you, I miss you, I was wrong, I want to make it right." Sister, when this happens, do not fall for it right away. Do not immediately give him everything he asks for because the test is not whether he comes back. The test is whether he changes. And you can only know if he has changed by watching him over time. By watching his consistency, not his intensity, by watching his actions, not his words. Because a man will always say what you want to hear when he thinks he is losing you. But a man will only do what is required of him if he truly values you. So when he comes back, you listen, you observe, you take your time. You do not fall back into old patterns. You do not immediately start texting him first again. You do not immediately start pouring yourself into him. You let him earn his way back into your life slowly, deliberately, on your terms. And if he is willing to do that, then maybe there's something worth rebuilding. But if he complains, if he pushes, if he tries to rush you back into the old dynamic, sister, that is your answer. That is a man who wanted access, not a man who wanted you. Scenario two, he does not come back at all, or he goes silent, he moves on, he disappears from your life. And I know, sister, this one hurts. This one feels like rejection. This one feels like proof that you were not enough. But baby, listen to me carefully. His silence is not a reflection of your worth. His silence is a reflection of his capacity. He was never going to be able to love you the way you deserve to be loved. He was never going to be able to show up for you the way you needed him to show up. And him leaving or fading or ghosting is not a tragedy. It is a gift. It is the universe removing what was not meant for you so that what is meant for you can find its way in. Grieve him, cry if you need to. But do not mistake his absence for evidence that you are unlovable. You are so lovable. You are so worthy. He was just not the one to show you. Scenario 3, he half comes back. This is the trickiest one. He reaches out with only a little. He sends a text after 2 weeks that says, "Hey stranger," he likes a picture on your social media. He tries to test the waters without actually diving in. Sister, do not fall for this. Do not respond to breadcrumbs like they are a feast. Do not treat a lukewarm reach out like it is the grand gesture you are waiting for. Because if he comes back halfway, he is telling you exactly how much he is willing to invest in you. And if halfway is what he offers, then halfway is what you will always get. And you, sister, you deserve a whole man. You deserve a whole heart. You deserve a whole yes, not a maybe, not a sometimes, not a when it's convenient. So when he half comes back, you either do not respond at all, or you respond in a way that requires him to step all the way up. You do not meet him in the middle. You do not lower your standard to match his effort. Or you either let him rise to you, or you let him fall away. And whichever he chooses, you are okay, because you have already chosen yourself. Now, I want to talk to you about the mistakes women make when they try to stop reaching out, because I have seen this 1,000 times. A woman will decide she is going to stop reaching, and she will do good for about 3 days, and then something happens, and she caves. So let me warn you about what to watch for. Mistake number 1, watching his social media. Sister, if you are not texting him, but you are watching his stories every 5 minutes, refreshing his profile, checking to see if he has posted a picture with another woman, you have not really stopped reaching. You are just reaching in a different way, and your energy is still going to him. Put the phone down. Unfollow if you have to. Mute him. Do not let his life continue to occupy your mind just because your fingers are not typing. Mistake number 2, talking about him constantly. If every conversation with your girlfriend still starts with, "So he did this," or "So he did this," or "So he didn't do that," you have not really stopped reaching. You have just moved the reaching into your conversations. You are still giving him space in your world, and that space is precious. That space could be used for you, for your dreams, for your growth. Stop talking about him. Let him become boring even to your own mouth. Mistake number 3, waiting. Sister, if you have stopped reaching out, but you are waiting, checking, hoping, praying every minute for him to come back, you have not really stopped. You have just moved the reaching from your fingertips to your heart, and your heart is still bleeding out for him. You have got to release the waiting. You have got to release the expectation. You have got to live your life as if he is never going to come back, because that is the only way you will be free. And ironically, that is also the only way, if he is capable of it, that he will actually come back. Mistake number 4, responding too fast when he does reach out. If, and I do mean if, he reaches out to you, do not respond within 30 seconds like you have been sitting by the phone waiting. Because, sister, if you have been sitting by the phone waiting, you have not done the internal work. You were just performing the strategy. Take your time. Live your day. Respond when you are ready from a place of centeredness, not desperation. Mistake number 5, and this is the big one, going back to old patterns the moment he shows a little interest. If you have spent 30 days not reaching out and he sends one sweet text, and you immediately go back to double texting, immediately go back to initiating every conversation, immediately go back to pouring all your energy into him, sister, you have undone all your work. Or you have taught him that all it takes to get you back to old patterns is one crumb. And baby, you deserve so much more than crumbs. You deserve the whole meal. Now, hear me on this. This is not about games. This is not about being cold or cruel. This is about self-respect. This is about you knowing your worth so deeply that you refuse to negotiate it, even with a man you love. Because, listen, sister, you can love a man and still refuse to accept less than you deserve. Those two things are not in conflict. In fact, they go together. Because if you truly love yourself, you will never allow yourself to be treated as an option, even by a man you love with your whole heart. Love that requires you to lose yourself is not love. It is a slow suicide with a smile on your face. I want you to take a deep breath right now, sister. Just breathe, because I know some of this is heavy. I know some of this is hitting places in you that have been hurting for a long time. And I want you to know I am not saying any of this to shame you. I am saying it to wake you up. I am saying it because I see you. I see the woman who has been carrying too much for too long. I see the woman who has been reaching and reaching and reaching and getting nothing back. I see the woman who has been telling herself, maybe next time, maybe if I do this, maybe if I say that, maybe if I'm a little more patient. And I am here to tell you, baby, that maybe is a trap, or that maybe is a cage, and you have got to break out. Now, let me get into what I call the deeper truth. Because everything I've told you so far is real and it works and it is transformative. But there is a deeper layer I want you to understand, and that deeper layer is this. The reason you have been reaching and reaching and reaching is not because you are needy. It is not because you are weak. It is not because you are too much. The reason you've been reaching is because somewhere along the way you were taught that love is something you have to earn. Somewhere along the way, someone showed you that love is conditional. Somewhere along the way, you learned that if you just work hard enough, if you just love hard enough, if you just give enough, you can make someone stay. And sister, I need you to unlearn that. I need you to hear me. Real love does not require you to earn it. Real love does not disappear when you stop pouring. Real love does not test your worth. Real love shows up. Real love pursues. Real love pursues. Real love makes it easy for you to know that you are loved. If you have to convince a man to love you, he does not love you. If you have to work overtime just to keep his attention, he is not paying attention. If you have to shrink yourself, change yourself, chase yourself into exhaustion just to keep him around, sister, he is not around. He is just next to you, taking up space until someone or something more interesting comes along. And you were not born to be next to someone. You were born to be chosen. You were born to be adored. You were born to be pursued. You were born to walk into a room and have a man look at you like you are the answer to a question he has been asking his whole life. And any man who is not looking at you that way, any man who is not making you feel that way is not your man. Let me say that again. Any man who is not making you feel adored is not your man. He might be a man, he might be a good man to somebody else someday, but he is not your man. And you have got to stop trying to make him fit into a role he was never cast for. Now, some of you are going to hear this and think, but Steve, I have invested so much time. I have invested so much energy. I have invested so much of my heart. How do I just walk away from that? Baby, listen to me. That is called the sunk cost fallacy. That is your brain trying to convince you that because you have already spent so much, you have to keep spending. But that is not wisdom. That is not love. That is fear dressed up as commitment. And you have got to see through it. Think about it this way. If you were at a casino and you had put $1,000 into a slot machine and you had not won a single thing, would you keep putting money in, or would you walk away? A wise person walks away. A wise person understands that the money you have already spent is gone, whether you keep playing or not. And the only question is, do you want to keep losing, or do you want to save what you have left? Sister, that man is a slot machine, and every ounce of energy you have already spent is spit. It is gone. You cannot get it back, but you can save what is left. You can save what is left. You can save your peace. You can save your future. You can save your ability to receive real love when it comes, and it is coming. I promise you it is coming, but you have to make room for it. Now, I want to talk to you about how to carry yourself once you have made the decision, because deciding to stop reaching out is one thing. Actually living it out day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, that is another thing entirely. And I want to give you some tools. The first tool is what I call the 24-hour rule. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, every time you feel that itch in your fingers, every time you feel that ache in your chest, you wait 24 hours before doing anything. And in those 24 hours, you do things that fill you up. You call a girlfriend, you take a walk, you dance in your kitchen, you take a bath, you read a book, you do anything except reach for him. And 99% of the time, by the end of those 24 hours, the urge has passed. You have processed the feeling, you have moved through it, and you no longer need to reach. The second tool is what I call the future self conversation. Every time you feel weak, every time you feel like you're about to cave, I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. Imagine the woman you want to be 1 year from now. Imagine the woman you want to be 1 year from now. Imagine her walking into her life, confident, glowing, chosen, adored. And I want you to ask her, what would you tell me right now? And listen to what she says. Because that woman, she is real. She is in you right now. And she is begging you not to send that text. She is begging you not to make that call. She is begging you to trust her, to trust the process, to trust that she is coming. The third tool is what I call the gratitude reframe. Every time you find yourself missing him, every time you find yourself grieving what could have been, I want you to shift your focus. Not to what you have lost, but to what you are gaining. You are gaining your time back. You are gaining your peace back. You are gaining your energy back. You are gaining your dignity back. You are gaining your future back. And every day you do not reach out, you are stacking those gains higher and higher until one day you look up and you realize you have built a life that is so full, so beautiful, so aligned with who you truly are, that you barely even remember why you were reaching in the first place. The fourth tool, and this one is important, is community sister. Do not do this alone. Do not white knuckle this by yourself. Find your girlfriends. Find your sisters. Find the women in your life who love you, who see you, who will remind you of your worth when you forget it, and lean on them. Text them when you want to text him. Call them when you want to call them. Let them be the ones who catch you when you fall. Because we are not meant to do this alone. We are meant to hold each other up. And if you do not have those women in your life right now, if you feel isolated, if you feel alone, then you find them. You go to the meetup group. You join the online community. You start the book club, you do whatever you have to do to surround yourself with women who will pour into you the way you have been trying to pour into him. Because your soul needs that, your spirit needs that, and you deserve it. Now, let me speak to something else because I know some of you are listening and you are dealing with the A kind of pain. You are dealing with a man who is right there in your life, in your bed, in your house, and yet somehow he still does not reach for you. He is physically present but emotionally absent. He comes home, but he does not really come home. He kisses you, but the kiss feels routine. He tells you he loves you, but the words feel like they're just falling out of his mouth without weight. Sister, I see you. I see how confusing that is. Because how do you stop reaching for a man who is right there? How do you create space when he is sleeping next to you every night? Here's what I want to tell you. You create emotional space even when you cannot create physical space. You stop asking how was your day for the 10th time when he never asked you back. You stop initiating the conversations he never participates in. You stop planning the date nights he never plans. You stop being the emotional caretaker of a relationship that does not care for you back. And you turn that energy inward. You start asking yourself, how was my day? You start planning date nights for yourself. You start becoming your own primary source of love and attention. And I promise you when you do that, he will notice. Because the woman who is always pouring into him is suddenly pouring into herself. And that shift, that quiet, powerful shift will make him sit up and pay attention in the way that nothing else will, because you have finally stopped waiting for him to fill you up. You have finally stopped depending on his approval, his attention, his affection to feel whole. And baby, a whole woman is the most magnetic thing on this earth. Now, I want to say something to those of you who are afraid. Because I know some of you are listening to me right now and your heart is pounding and your palms are sweating and you are thinking, Steve, I don't know if I can do this. I am too afraid. I am too attached. I am too invested. Sister, listen, fear is a liar. Fear will tell you that you cannot survive without him. Fear will tell you that no one else is coming. Fear will tell you that this is the best you can do, and every single one of those things is a lie. You have survived every hard thing that has ever happened to you. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still capable. And whatever it takes to survive letting go of the man who is not choosing you, you already have inside of you. Or you have already survived worse. You will survive this too. And on the other side of this, there is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, freer, more magnetic, more alive than you have ever been, and she is waiting for you. All you have to do is take the first step toward her. Put the phone down. That is the first step. Just put the phone down. Do not send the text. Do not make the call. Just put it down and take one deep breath and remind yourself that you are okay. You are okay right now. In this moment, you are okay. And in the next moment, you will be okay too. And you will keep being okay one moment at a time until suddenly you look up and you realize you have not thought about him in an hour. And then a day, and then a week, and then a month. And then you will realize you are free. You are free. Now let me bring this home because I have poured a lot into you today, and I want to make sure you leave with this deep in your spirit. Our sister, you were not put on this earth to chase. You were put on this earth to be chosen. You were not born to convince a man of your worth. You were born to be recognized as worthy. You were not created to shrink so that a smaller man could feel bigger. You were created to shine so brightly that only a man who is truly ready for you could stand next to you and not be blinded. You are not too much. You have never been too much. You will never be too much. You are exactly enough. You have always been exactly enough. You will always be exactly enough. And any man who cannot see that is not the man for you. Stop chasing, stop begging, stop shrinking. Stop reaching for what is not reaching for you. Stop pouring into what is not pouring back. Stop watering dead flowers. Stop trying to raise grown men. Stop settling for less than you deserve in the name of love, in the name of patience, in the name of hope. Because real love does not require you to bleed. Real love does not require you to break. Real love does not require you to lose yourself. And a real love, sister, real love feels like exhale. Real love feels like coming home. Real love feels like being fully seen, fully known, and fully chosen without ever having to fight for it. And that love is coming for you. It is on its way. It is already unfolding, but you have got to make room for it. You have got to release the man who is not it so that the man who is can find you. You have got to close the door on the past so that the future can walk it. So tonight, when you go to bed and you feel that ache in your chest and you feel that urge to reach for him one more time, I want you to remember this. Remember Maya. Remember Rachel. Remember Tasha. Remember Denise. Remember that every one of those women had to walk through the fire of silence before they got to the other side. And every one of them made it. And so will you. You are stronger than the urge to text him. You are wiser than the impulse to call him. You are more powerful than the loneliness that is telling you he was your only chance. He was not your only chance. He was one chance. He was one chance. And there are more coming. There are so many more coming. But you have to be available for them. You have to be present for them. You have to have your hands open, not clenched around the past. So let go. Let go, sister. Let go, sister. And carry yourself like a woman who knows. Carry yourself like a woman who has options. Carry yourself like a woman who has standards. Carry yourself like a woman who will not, under any circumstances, accept less than she deserves. And watch what happens. Watch how the world starts responding to you differently. Watch how doors start opening that you did not even know existed. Watch how men, real men, start noticing you, pursuing you, showing up for you in ways you did not know were possible, because when a woman decides to stop reaching, the whole universe starts reaching for her. When a woman decides to choose herself, life starts choosing her back. When a woman decides that she is worthy, everything and everyone around her starts to reflect that worth back to her. Yo,